Welcome to the How to Write a Book podcast, the show that helps you plan, write, and publish your book, even if you're a beginner or just feel like one. Now, for your host, she's written over a dozen books and helps others bring their books to life. Here she is, Maciel.
Hey, writer. What is up? What is up, y'all? All right. It is a day 24. And y'all are showing up. You're showing up. And even if you wrote down 10 words or you wrote down, 100,000 words, y'all, I'm proud of you. I'm super proud of you, my friend. You were doing super awesome. And I want to just congratulate you for just believing in yourself. Because really, even if it's really slow to move forward and sometimes you feel like you're just dragging yourself through the mud, but you're like, I can do this. I can keep doing it. Even if I do one word a day. Y'all, that is awesome. That is seriously super awesome, because believing in yourself is really the foundation. That's where you start and that's how you move forward. All right. So today's limiting belief is I don't have the right credentials. Okay. This is a really interesting question / topic. Not having the right credentials. Now, we can split this into fiction and nonfiction. But I believe that when we talk about the credentials, we really are creating this overarching umbrella that stops us from writing. So say you're writing nonfiction and you want to write a book on writing or some other, really intense discipline. And you think, okay, well, I would love to write about this, but I don't have the right credentials. That in itself means that you are a student. You are learning, you are improving, you want to seek knowledge. You do not feel like you are an expert. And out of all the fields that I have been in, the person who believes they know everything has stopped growing, and they actually are not valued. They are really not seen as someone who can play nicely with others, and they're just not someone that you really want to be around. We like being around the person who, is enthusiastic and loves their subject, but is always constantly trying to learn and trying to adapt, and also happy to learn and adapt to new things, right? So, even if someone has never rode a bike before, for example, and they ask you, they're like, hey, can you show me how to ride this bike? You're like, oh my gosh, yes, totally. Because this is a joyous process and I would love to show you how this works and guide you through it. So that same process of sharing and learning and growing can be said for those who are writing books and they feel like as if there's just not an expert on the topic. The great thing is that means that you have so much more to write about. You will probably go look for people to interview. You will go search for those topics and really find out the nitty-gritty and the foundations on what you need to know. So instead of seeing your lack of credentials as a handicap, instead see it as just a great opportunity for you to dive in, for you to be consumed by this subject and to really come out the other side knowing that not only did you learn a lot, but you learned about that learning process as well. So in other words, if someone's trying to learn about this process, but it seems difficult to them, you will have just freshly learned about that. So you can relay that information back to them. And also, credentials can actually be relative depending on what kind of book you want to write. So if you're writing a book on the basics of a subject, that can be really your area of expertise, the basics or the foundations of that subject. And then as you go further and deeper into a subject, then that might require different credentials, but you are learning as you're growing. So do show up. And for those of you who are writing fiction, you might be thinking I don't have the right editing background. I don't have the right creative writing background. I don't have those kinds of credentials to write. Now, really, the only way to get through this is to write. So your first couple of drafts or your first couple of books, they're really going to be bumpy. They might not really showcase your skills as a writer yet because you're really just sharpening your sword. So when it comes to this idea of lack of credentials, remember that everything can be learned. The English language or whatever language you're writing your book in can be learned. The grammar of it can be learned. And also, remember that most readers are not themselves experts in English or the language that you're writing. They're common readers in the best way. They want to read in a way that speaks to their own language. They want to resonate with that person. And commonly, we all speak like with slang or with cutting off the words, jargon, things like that. So you don't need to have this eloquent and highly educated prose. You can talk the way you normally talk. You can approach it the way you would with a friend. Your credentials really come with experience, but they also come with you simply being you and approaching your fictional subject with happiness and joy and ready to share it with someone else. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. I hope that provides you with inspiration. And if you feel like as if you are lacking the credentials, I ask you to write down a list of 10 things of why you are qualified to write this piece of work, whether that's nonfiction or fiction. Take out a piece of paper right now, unless you cannot, like, for example, you're driving, then say it out loud to yourself. What are 10 things that you know about this subject or about your book that make you, a quote unquote expert right now? All right. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you on the other side. Hey there, writer. Thank you for listening to the How to Write a Book podcast with your host, Maciel Valenzuela. If you like the show, we'd be happy if you left a review. For more information on writing and the writer's life, go to www.themaciel.com. That's www.themassiel.com. We'll see you on the other side.